Welcome back to Leeds Lately. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Kostas Tsimikas and his potential move to Leeds United. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that big red button down below. Now, the reason I'm making this video now is I know that we were linked in the last week, but these rumours seem to be ramping up a little bit more now, and it's somebody who I think would definitely be good for Leeds, and we're going to talk about him today. The kind of difference is, and I made a YouTube short / TikTok last week about this, and there was a rumour that we could be in for him and Kevin Kelleher for around £30 million for both, £40 million, sorry, for both. But now it looks like Aston Villa are also interested in signing Kevin Kelleher because of what they're going to lose Emi Martinez this summer. So they need a new goalkeeper as well. And obviously that's going to be a much more appealing prospect for Kelleher himself if he's going to be the first choice keeper there, as opposed to a newly promoted Leeds United. So that brings us back to Kostas Tsimikas, the Greek international. He's 29 years old, has played left back for Liverpool for a few years before signing from Olympiacos, where he spent most of the rest of his career. But now he came to Liverpool and he sat behind Andy Robertson in that Liverpool team that have won a Champions League and have won a couple of Premier Leagues as well. And I feel like he's probably at a stage of his career, 29 now, where he wants to be the starting left back. And I feel like even if we do sign Junior Firpo on a further deal, because apparently Leeds have offered him a juicy contract, even if we do sign Junior Firpo on a further deal, we would be looking at Simkas as the starter with Firpo in behind him, I would imagine. Because Simkas is a more experienced player at a higher level, played for the Greece national team, of course, in some of the international competitions. He's played for Liverpool for a good few years now. He's got experience of knowing how to win games of football. He's an attacking fullback, easy for me to say. He's an attacking fullback, but he's also got that ability to defend as well, which we'll talk about in his statistics. He's somebody who, look, Liverpool didn't miss too much with their recruitment under Jurgen Klopp. A lot of the time they had to be very pragmatic with how much they would spend, where they would spend it, and getting that right was the big deal. Kostas Tsimikas is somebody who Jurgen Klopp wanted in the side. You can see potentially that obviously Jurgen Klopp's got a job high up at Red Bull's kind of sporting division now. I don't know how much impact he will have on what happens at Leeds United, but you can imagine that there might have been a word in there to say, look, Kostas Tsimikas is probably a great signing for Leeds. He's signed him for Liverpool and for good reason as well. He's done really well over his time there, even though he's had to kind of deputise for Andy Robertson. So when we actually talk about Kostas Tsimikas in terms of his value, we're looking at 20 million euros according to Transfermarkt. He's got 2 years yet left on his current deal, which runs until 2027. So his value would be protected. So I think you're looking at around 15 to 18 million pounds for Kostas Tsimikas to play left back. Do I think that's potentially an inflated price because it's for Liverpool? Maybe. If he was coming directly from Greece, I think you'd be paying a little bit less. But because he's now got that experience, you've added a few million onto his price tag. But even at that price, I do think it would be a good move. It's not, I was going to say ambitious, but it's clever. It's more intelligent than the kind of recruitment that we did last time when we were last in the Premier League. I think it's definitely more of a well thought out process. Now, we do not know if the rumours are completely true or not, but given the links to Jurgen Klopp at Red Bull and coming back then to speak to Daniel Farke and things like that, I think there's some truth in this. And for around £15 million, you're getting a decent player who is going to stand you in good stead to stay up in the Premier League. Like I said, his contract runs until 2027, so his value is protected at that point, but it won't be a massive outlay anyway. And around £15 million is probably a good amount to pay for each player if you are going to want to recruit a lot of players. So when we actually look at his statistics then, he hasn't scored any goals this season, and he's got an assist in the Premier League and an assist in the Champions League. But this sometimes can be easily kind of a red herring when you're looking at these. Just because he hasn't got the assists doesn't mean that he's not actually been creating the chances, because Kostas Tsimikas has shot creating actions of 3.3 per 90. So he's creating almost 3.5 shots every 90 minutes for his teammates, whether that be him passing it directly to Salah, who has a shot, or him passing it to Gravenberch, who then passes it to Salah. So it's a barometer of, is he in the attacking positions? Is he providing that support? Is he creating chances? And he is. He definitely is. With those 3.3, that puts him in the 92nd percentile compared to fullbacks in the top 5 leagues. So that's really, really good. His passes attempted is 69.19 per game, so that puts him in the top 7%. So he is very much comfortable on the ball, which is what's something we definitely need to have for our fullbacks. You saw this season just gone with Junior Firpo and Jayden Bogle. A lot of the time they are having to play those little 1-2s around presses to try and play out from the back and get up the pitch and play in those tight spaces. So Simkas, somebody who's no stranger to doing that. His pass completion rate for a fullback needs to be fairly high. 85.3%, 84th percentile, so the top 16%. His progressive passes, now this is an interesting one. Does he play forward? Is he somebody who tries to get the ball into the final third and tries to progress the play? Because you can see that some players are, yes, they're good on the ball, and yes, they have a high pass completion rate, but they do a lot of sideways and backwards passing. But actually, his progressive passes are up at 6.96 per 90, which puts him in the top 4% of the top 5 leagues in Europe for fullbacks. So that's really, really good. He doesn't look like he carries the ball very often, though. 1.41 per 90 puts him down in the 22nd percentile. So he likes to do the ball, get the ball to do the work. And even playing amateur football, they always tell you, oh, the ball can move faster than you can, so pass it, don't run with it. Obviously, there are times where you can run with it, but the general gist is there. He doesn't like to take players on too much, only down at 0.49 per 90, which puts him in the 43rd percentile. Touches in the attacking penalty area at 1.62 puts him in the 58th percentile, so a bit lower than what you'd expect to see from somebody like Firpo in the way that he played. Now, I know that a lot of you are interested in how these players defend as well, because, of course, we are going up to the Premier League and you need to be able to defend. Tackles, 2.53 per 90 puts him in the 79th percentile, so the top 21%. And interceptions, 1.62 per 90, which I always like to look at interceptions because I do feel like they're a good way of seeing how somebody reads the game, how intelligent they are at going, okay, that's definitely a threat, I'm going to block that passing lane. He's up there with 1.62 per 90, which puts him in the top 5% of fullbacks in Europe for that. So that's really good from him. Blocks, clearances, and aerials are way down there with 0.77, 2.18, and 0.35 respectively. They're way down there. That puts him in the 16th percentile for blocks, the 24th percentile for clearances, and the 11th percentile for aerials one. They're really, really low. But if you are going to play the Daniel Farke way, and I've talked about this in a tactics video I made the other week if you want to check it out, Leeds could split into a back three by having one of the holding midfielders drop in, so then you've got cover there, or you can have the holding midfielder drop out to the fullback position like we saw a lot with Gruev this season to cover Firpo. So you would have the defensive responsibilities of the fullback. A lot of the time they would be of the centre-back or a holding midfielder who then drops into that role. So it's not too much to worry about in terms of that. Also, you've got to take into account that Liverpool are a very, very dominant side. They've just won the Premier League, so they're way up there in terms of holding the possession and stopping the opposition, even being able to play that much. So he's not going to be having to defend that much in a side like Liverpool. We could see those statistics rise exponentially if he came to Leeds, because we're going to do a lot of defending. Now, the last thing we'll talk about is what players are similar to Kostas Tsimikas. Now, this just gives you a good idea of kind of who's similar to him. So what could you compare him to? What's he going to play like? Now, this is in terms of those statistics that we just talked about. Lucas Vazquez for Real Madrid, who was formerly a winger but then turned into a fullback, an attacking fullback, so that tells you something as well. I mean, the recruitment from Liverpool's obviously good because two of the players on this list, similar output to Andrew Robertson and similar output to Trent Alexander-Arnold. So you can see why it's been picked out as the kind of statistics that they went for when they recruited him was, let's go for someone who can provide us with a similar job. DeMarcos for Atletico Bilbao. You got Maximilian Mittelstadt, who plays for Stuttgart, and he played for the German national team in the last Euros that we had. So he obviously has done well enough to get himself into the national team. Davide Calabria as well, who's a good fullback in the Italian league, was at AC Milan, now at Bologna, and Juan Miranda as well at Bologna as well, and then Luca Pellegrini at Lazio. So some very decent fullbacks in there to be compared to for Kostas Tsimikas. So I think this is a no-brainer. I think if you can get him for about 15 to 18 million pounds, it's a really good, experienced player who really fits what we want to do with this side. Let me know what you think of Kostas Tsimikas down in the comments below. For me, I think it'll be a great signing. It seems like I'm going to put my head on the line, or my neck on the line, whatever the saying is. I think Kostas Tsimikas is going to be our first signing. And I hope so, because I think it'll be a really good move to sign a left-back. How many years have we been saying, sign a left-back, sign a left-back? I think he will be the right one to sign. Thanks for watching Leeds lately, and I'll see you in the next one.